Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Wow, that's not the energy that I felt right now.
You know what? That's
like the hockey, when you go see a hockey game, right?
Yep.
Or is that like a kind of a universal?
Yeah, it's leaning on the hockey thing, but I will say, you're asking about my game recently. It's been on pause because of work, but I cannot wait. I'm going to get back out there tomorrow. I'm excited.
Are you really?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to pop in, just check in on everybody. See how the ice is holding up.
I wasn't ready for a hockey.
Mm-hmm. So guys, welcome to Evan's Hockey Hour.
God, yeah, he's gonna start a hockey podcast. It's gonna be so interesting. Take this over. No, I was not in the exact zone starting this for like the hockey
the
chanting
rah-rah.
because I still feel like I am coming off that Bachelorette finale
Yes.
a teeny bit.
Maybe that's just me trying to rise myself out of the gutter. You know what I mean?
Trying to arise
Self-cheerlead.
from the absolute depression that was. We dropped our recap of the Jen's Bachelorette finale. We dropped it yesterday. If you haven't checked that out, and I think basically we just like angrily ranted for about an hour and a half. So if you want to check that out, but definitely coming out of that, also I'm very on edge because right now is what they'd like to refer to as tea time. Okay, the tea is piping and it's like right at the brim of the Bachelorette Tea teacup, and it's about to spilleth over because things are starting to come out. And I feel as if every moment, I'm not typically like a big Insta girl these days. I feel like every moment right now I have to be on social media not to miss anything. And Lord knows we'll probably record this entire podcast and then all of a sudden...
Which it always happens to us. We drop an episode and then like as it's dropping...
Minutes later, some like spicy, juicy tea comes out. But as of right now, let me tell you, fam, the tea that is bubbling over from Jen's Bachelorette finale... Bubbleth over is... There's a few things going on. Number one is that Maria... posted on Instagram and said, just got back from a peaceful trip. This was not something I wanted to come back home to, but I have some things to say and I won't be holding back this time, with a smiley face.
Which is really interesting.
And I'm like, what does it mean?
Yeah, because the only thing that was said during the finale was just that he followed her. So what does that mean?
I'm like, what does this mean? Does Maria know tea about Devin? Did Devin try to contact her? Is this simply Maria? Because what I can imagine happening too is certain people, sliding into Maria's DMs and being like, did you do something? Which just don't do that. Okay, this has nothing to do with Maria. It's not Maria's fault that a bunch of these dicks, these assholes were like, we thought it was going to be Maria, you know? So I don't know if it's just like she's coming out and saying, hey, this has nothing to do with me. Please leave me alone type energy. Or if she knows something. I will tell you, I did a little bit of research. Okay. Some research. She does not follow Devin. And then I went to Devin's follow list. And at least from what I saw, he was not following Maria anymore.
So he did a quick unfollow.
Yes. And also what I noticed is because I was looking at his follow list, that one of his most recent follows, like if not the most recent, was Harry Jowsey, which made me laugh because it's like, of course.
One of his most recent?
One of the people that he most recently followed was Harry Jowsey.
Oh my God.
And I think that is so funny because
Harry
it's like,
Jowsey's like he's like the gatekeeper between normal people and reality TV stars. He's like, welcome to the club.
He's like, oh, you've had a reality TV scandal? It's like
Welcome
they worship
to,
at the shrine of Harry
of the
Jowsey,
king of
and they
drama.
pray to the idol of Harry Jowsey every night and say, please, God, let us get the success that Harry Jowsey has gotten throughout all of his scandals and all of his drama on reality TV, yet he rises again, and continues to be making money.
He's the golden god of
Devin
that
will
world.
be praying to the idol of Harry Jowsey.
He just signed up for his course.
Honestly?
Drama.
Harry Jowsey would make so much money.
He should write a book. Or
No.
I guess, oh yeah.
No,
well,
he needs to do a course. You know how all these
Sure. Courses are
people
big.
are doing courses now? If Harry Jowsey did a course on like how to, bounce back in reality television or how to become controversial, whatever.
How to cause controversy.
I mean,
he would.
How to lie on the perfect match 101 and somehow still be making money. I mean, I don't know, man.
I mean, listen, you don't choose your path. The path to, actually you do. In this case, never mind.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure where that's going.
You make choices, but yeah, I don't know. I mean,
so
it's a lot of like, what is going on?
So I'm like, what is Maria going to say? So she essentially kind of like teased us and said,
it's just a merch drop.
I mean, that would be really iconic.
It'd be
and
like,
you know what?
kidding.
I wouldn't put it past the icon that is Maria, that she'd be like, y'all are like in my DMs blowing me up. I'm trying to have a peaceful trip. I'm about to drop some merch collab with me and my father, which I saw her posting videos of her dad recently, like out at the club with friends and her.
Epic.
I mean,
he's the king.
Just the legend that will never be forgotten and will never be topped.
You know what I want Maria to leak?
What?
Is how many of the guys from this season have reached out, and which ones, and what do they say?
Oh, there's that.
That's
too.
what I want.
You know what I want Maria to leak?
Sam, all these guys were hitting her up, so I would love.
What I want Maria to leak is because she's become part of like the Alex Cooper Unwell crew, which is like, these are big numbers. Okay, this is like a different level of celebrity. I want to know how many like very famous people have slid into Maria's DMs, and I want a list of all of them. I wonder all the people.
I wonder if she posted that story the other day, last night or whatever it was, and then Alex Cooper called her and said, "No, podcast. You got to put it on a podcast."
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Oh, interesting.
Like,
that would be a good move.
A little bit of that. Like,
that would be a good move. Maybe that's what she said. She goes, "I'm not going to be holding back." So maybe she won't be like going on Instagram and spilling the tea. Maybe she'll be sitting down with her girl Alex Cooper.
But she didn't say tomorrow, right? Like she said.
No, she didn't say tomorrow.
She just said, I won't be holding back. I have a lot to say. I'll be holding back.
No.
So it had nothing to say about like it's coming out.
There's no
time,
dates.
Which means podcast, probably, in my opinion.
Who knows? Who knows what it's going to be? But then also, the other tea that was lingering and spilled was, I saw this on Bachelor Nation Scoop, forever and always, blessings. Apparently, Zachary Reality posted, this was the DM he wrote, "This is the DM I received on August 20th. Okay. So I don't know who this is from. I don't know the vetting process. So take it as you will, right? I don't think there's been things that are proven here. But this said, Devin went, so he got this DM August 20th. Devin wins and they already broke up. My best friend's coworker's son was top 4 on the show and good friends with Devin. He was spotted around other girls in Houston for White Linen Day, and Jen got a lot of texts accusing him of cheating. They got into a fight and broke up because he can't handle the publicity. And again, who knows? But this doesn't. If this is the case, I'm not shook and shocked by this.
Yeah.
Also, it says, my best friend's coworker's son was top 4 on the show and good friends with Devin. And I'm like, it has to be Jeremy, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy and him just like absolutely hitting the clubs together.
They're at whatever White Linen Day is.
They're zipping around in Jeremy's car. But,
oh boy.
But, just that's the current tea.
It seems like things are bubbling.
It seems like things are bubbling. So I'm just saying, I'm waiting to hear more tea. Let our teacup runneth over. And, if anything pops out, then maybe we'll discuss. But I'm just, personally, I'm on edge because I'm just now so curious. And also curious if Jen's going to talk about it more. Because if all of a sudden, Devin starts running his mouth, like maybe Jen's going to be like, no.
Yeah, because if Maria says something, then Devin responds. If it's an anti-Devin thing, then Devin responds, starts probably posting stuff. And then, Jen maybe has to step in and defend something. It could get real messy.
We'll see.
We shall see.
Anywho.
We'll keep you abreast.
I hate that you've started saying that.
I don't know. It's the second time I've ever said it. And both times we're on the podcast. So I don't know why.
It just sends like a chill down my spine that I don't love. Well, family, we're here to do call homes today, okay? We're here to hear from our family and kind of just shake off some of the rage we felt post Bachelorette
I'm
finale.
gonna take that emotional bath today.
Absolutely. And hear from our beloved family. But first, we got to take a quick pause.
Yes.
Family, so check this out. The school year is officially back in swing. In fact, we have back to school night tonight.
Yes, we do.
Which means, by the way, that our kiddos' theater and extracurricular classes are also in session. So you know that means we are running around more, which also means getting good, clean meals on the table can be harder. Well, thank goodness we have Green Chef. Look no further than Green Chef, the first certified organic meal kit company. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for clean eating, delivering pre-portioned and prepped quality whole foods with limited processed ingredients. Green Chef sends organic, fresh produce, responsibly sourced proteins, and chef-designed recipes in every box for satisfying, nourishing, and convenient meals that make it easy to stick to a clean routine. All these get delivered right to your door. Plus, you don't have to guess what to make with your farm fresh items with Green Chef's easy to follow recipes and pre-measured and prepped ingredients. Let me tell you, if I say it's easy to follow, I promise you all that you'll have an easy time following it because you know that I can struggle in the kitchen. With Green Chef, I am serving up a restaurant quality meal in no time.
Yes.
I am a proper chef.
You are a proper chef.
I am a green
my
chef.
Queen. Yes. Yes. We're talking fresh, seasonal, organic produce in every box, plus premium proteins like organic eggs, sustainably sourced seafood, and antibiotic and hormone-free chicken. And Green Chef is making it easy to stick to your healthy eating habits with a new, more flexible menu featuring over 35 customizable recipe options every week. Are you dairy-free, gluten-free, vegetarian, or vegan? Green Chef has over 15 recipes every week to support those lifestyles and more. You'll also find over 15 weekly recipes that are ready in 25 minutes or less. So you'll have the power to tailor the menu to your needs, satisfying and nourishing everyone in the family in about 30 minutes.
Yes, 30 minutes. And P.S. fam, think eating clean can't taste good? Well, have no fear, because Green Chef recipes will have you swooning with every bite. Okay, we had their pesto caprese sandwiches last night, and
Delicious.
my mouth is still watering.
So good.
They are so good. Also, they have grab and go breakfast and snack options like protein packed egg bites, plant-based protein shakes, and nut butter bites. P.S. Did you know that Green Chef is owned by HelloFresh? And with a wider array of meal plans to choose from, there's something for everyone. I personally like switching between both the brands, all the amazing options. And now you all can enjoy both brands at a discount with us. And take your clean routine further with 2 times the support, Green Chef's healthiest menu ever, and access to thousands of top-rated gyms and fitness studios worldwide from ClassPass. For a limited time, new Green Chef subscribers will also receive 50 free credits to use at ClassPass, about a month's worth of membership. Go to greenchef.com/momdadclass for 50% off your first box, plus 50 free credits with ClassPass. That's code MOMDADClass at greenchef.com/momdadclass to get 50% off your first box, plus 50 free ClassPass credits. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Evan, I have bad news.
Uh-oh.
There are, I think, many mosquitoes that have gotten in the studio because since we've been talking,
You've been getting bit up?
bit up like crazy. And you know I don't do well with mosquito bites.
Guys, listen.
I have
Mom is
blood.
amazing.
I have
Mom,
blood.
your
They
mother
love me.
is incredible. But one thing I will, kind of something that wasn't, I don't think I really took into, when we got married, I kind of like, this is something that I think she maybe played down a little bit for fear of me not marrying her. And for good reason, I will say, is her and mosquitoes.
Or any
like
buggies.
they can't be around each other.
No.
At all.
No.
So it does really limit your ability to travel. I will say that there is kind of this, like, let's go to these places. Like no, because if anywhere there's mosquitoes, we can't go.
It's because I have O blood and they
get new blood. I mean, what do we got to do? A transfusion or something? What do we got? How do we get new blood?
I mean, I don't remember we talked about how LA was apparently like releasing something to diminish the mosquitoes. Well, it's not working,
yeah,
LA.
I'll go in my own backyard alone because she can't even go in our backyard.
No, because if I go go and eat outside right now. I mean, you see my legs after. They are covered and I have whatever like type of allergy.
You need a backyard that's pure cement. We have like a lot of grass and bushes in our backyard and it is not
I need a
built.
bubble. I need an orb around our backyard.
Yes.
But you have to admit that when I come out from the backyard, my legs, like after this, my legs will be like covered in welts because these bites become welts on me and it's just so much. And we all know how annoying it is. And I feel them biting me in my ankles right now.
Yeah, it's not you, it's me. You know what I mean? I think that's the issue is that like, it's not that I judge you for your condition. It's that I didn't sign up for this. I'm
just saying that one day I pray that you will experience this for 24 hours and then you will realize how
I wish I did.
Absolutely annoying it is.
Yeah. But, anyway, just kind of one thing. Okay, so before we get into this, one thing I will say is if you're considering marrying someone, just make sure that, you really check out the bug bite thing because it is something to consider. They don't talk about this in marriage counseling. They talk about like personality and like, are you a good person? That's all fine and good, but do check into the bug bites because it is something to be aware of.
Also, while you're in marriage counseling, check into the empathy of the partner's ability to handle your bug bite constant.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So if you are a bug bite person, get with another bug biter.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a better move to go.
We could be scratching each other together right now.
You won't even go outside. It's perfect. You just kind of will never leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So don't.
Sure. We could just be itching each other or covered in calamine lotion.
Exactly. So if that is something, definitely check into that.
Okay. Well, should we get started?
Yes, please.
It's gorgeous. Now let's hear from the family.
All right, here we go.
Hi, Mom and Dad. It's your daughter, Kirsten. Kirsten. I have a dilemma and I need some advice. So about a year ago, my husband and I met another couple at our really good friend's house. Let's call this couple Ross and Rachel. So my husband and I got along really well with Ross and Rachel, and we started seeing them more often, like in big group settings. And then maybe about like a month or two after we had met them, I went to go add Ross and Rachel on Instagram. And something about Ross's Instagram account like triggered a memory, and I realized I had actually gone out with Ross once like 5 years ago before my husband and I were together. But it was like such an insignificant part of my life, and it hadn't gone anywhere at all. And Ross looks a little different now. I mean, it's been 5 years, and he has facial hair now, which he didn't have before. But this is where the issue comes in. So I knew that Ross and Rachel had been together for a while, so I did a little digging and I found out that they've been together for 7 years. So they were definitely together when I went out with him.
Wow.
And when I met Ross for technically the second time, he didn't act like he knew me at all. So either he really didn't recognize me, which is definitely possible because I didn't recognize him, or he was just trying to play it off because he didn't want Rachel to know. Okay, so here's my dilemma. When I first realized that I knew Ross, I wasn't super close to him or Rachel, so I really just didn't feel the need to like rock the boat and mention it to either of them. But it's been almost a year, and my husband and I have gotten a lot closer to both of them, and now I sort of feel like I have to say something, but also it's been so long that it feels crazy to bring it up now. And I do also want to mention they're definitely like a couple friend for us. I'm not really hanging out with Rachel one-on-one, and my husband isn't really hanging out with Ross, just the two of them. Like we really only hang out as couples. So what do I do? Do I say something? Do I let it go? Ross and Rachel got married like about 2 years ago, and they seem really, really happy. And I also really like being friends with them. And I know bringing it up will change that dynamic. But, like, do I have a moral obligation to tell Rachel? Please help. I really need your advice. Okay, thanks. Love you. Bye.
This is a doozy out of the gate. Like, this is so... Are you living in a literal sitcom? Like, this is an episode of Friends. Like, this is literally, like, Ross and Rachel, that was the perfect
I'm very rarely a little stumped.
That's what I'm literally, I'm feeling.
A little stumped
I'm feeling
right now.
stumped. I mean, all I can think of is you write him some cryptic note and slide it to him across the dinner table, Ross, and be like, I know what you did. Because that's kind of what's messing with me. If we didn't have the
Wow.
Kirsten knowing that they were dating while she went out with him.
That's the kicker.
That's the kicker. Because I would say.
And I'm guessing your partner knows about all this?
That's an important
You didn't
caveat.
really clarify whether you have told your husband that this is all thing. Is this all just in your own? You don't even like. What's your husband's opinion on this?
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear your partner's opinion.
You left out a huge one, dude. Does your husband have any idea, or is this all you keeping it to yourself until you're trying to figure that out? He's got to have an opinion. Maybe he's just in the same boat with her, kind of just like, I don't know, this is crazy. Yeah, what should we do?
Yeah.
Because obviously he's not like jealous about the guy because it was like it was like a meaningless date. Okay.
Yeah, Kirsten didn't even recognize Ross.
Which I will say is a little, I guess if you're just not expecting them to be, you would think though that like if you went out on a date with someone.
Yeah, but think about this. Think you go out, obviously she didn't clarify, but you go out, you're currently dating, you're dating numerous people, maybe going out on Hinge dates or whatever.
But at the same,
and you sit across from somebody
something's
for
up.
a drink.
No, something's up. Here's why my question is to you. You went on a date with the guy, which means you knew his name.
So?
And then 5 years later, let's say his name's Johnny Anderson. Mm-hmm. You went on a date with a guy named Johnny Anderson in your city. 5 years later, which is not 50 years later, you meet Johnny Anderson again. Looks a hell of a lot like the guy you went on a date with. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no,
it's one thing if it was like I saw a picture of him, but like you actually spent one-on-one time asking questions about his life, his family, this. You guys have grown close as a couple, which means you've talked about details of each other's lives. And you're like, this is crazy. This guy with the same name and the same exact history.
I absolutely combat that because you are coming from the perspective of the fact of like, you and I started dating in high school and we dated for like 15 years.
I mean, I get that.
I'm going to say this. When you and I were broken up and I went out on like numerous dates, I can literally think of a specific, there's a guy out there named Matt who went to my college. Right. So I even saw him around all the time. There was a guy named Matt. We went out on one date together and I promise
what the hell?
I promise you, I could not remember what he looks like.
Got it.
And I would see him regularly at my college. But if all of a sudden I met or ran into him today and he had some facial hair and looked 5 years later is a big difference.
It's been 15 years since high school, since college, babe.
But I'm saying
5 years ago was the beginning of COVID.
Okay, same thing. I'm telling you, I resonate with this.
Okay.
There's a little bit of facial hair. You look different. It's like you're kind of that person where you're like, something about you seems familiar, but I don't recognize.
So
you.
I'm gonna forgive the fact that it seems wild that that's possible. Okay, I'm gonna forgive that, and we're just gonna operate on this basis.
Yeah.
You have to know if you say anything, it's over. Because you're possibly blowing up even their marriage. Even if he cheated by going on a date with you, that is wrong, obviously. But I would say absolutely don't say anything.
Always says don't say.
But be aware that it could come out at any time. So just know that you're sitting on a ticking time bomb, basically. So if you love them a lot and they're an amazing friend, gamble. If they're not that amazing and it's kind of whatever when you hit them up when you're bored, maybe phase them out. Because the chances of neither of you knowing and ever figuring out are very low. So what you could run into is multiple things. If he's a cheater, okay, you guys go on that trip together and he like makes a move on you when he's drunk and you guys are,
no.
I'm just saying, if he's going on dates while he's currently has a girlfriend, that means he is capable of doing this. And he could be like, hey, it's me, remember me? You know what I mean? Like, and then it gets even weirder. Now you have to go tell the wife, or like, I'm just saying it is definitely a ticking time bomb because all it takes is one trigger, just how it did for you.
Yeah.
If he doesn't remember, but then all of a sudden he sees an Instagram or whatever, and he's like, wait, that's the same girl. And then boom, you're off.
I have a feeling he remembers.
I agree.
I think you do not remember, and I have a feeling he remembers.
But why would he want to? Because he's gambling, thinking at any moment she could expose me.
Well, maybe he likes to play fast and loose. Okay. But my thing is this. There is a chance. So, for instance, when I tell people about Evan and I typically say, we dated for, however many years, 10 years, and then we got married. I don't typically just off the cuff go, well, we dated for 3.5.
Right.
And then we broke up for a year and then we got back together. So maybe there's a chance that when Ross and Rachel say they've been dating for 7 years, that there was, a 3-month break. It's Ross and Rachel.
No.
We were on a break.
Oh,
we were on a break.
that's possible.
Maybe there was like a 3 months where they were on a break.
That's
or they
true.
were broken up.
Because she's not saying they said they've been together for 7 years. She said she did Instagram digging, went back 7 years on Instagram basically, and saw they were still together.
I know, but what I'm saying is
that they could have had 6 months where they weren't together.
When he went out with you, there's a chance that perhaps they were on like
broken up for
a 3 month break, or even like a month. When you're in a long-term relationship, sometimes you break up for a little, or they were on a break, and we will have a full Ross and Rachel conundrum of we were on a break, and is that okay? If that wasn't a factor, if there wasn't that potential cheating situation, I would say at this point, maybe not to bring it up unless you feel like so comfortable with them that and know them well enough to know that you could throw that out there and everybody would laugh about it. Part of me, just because there's that potential cheating situation, and I know that you're more couple friends and not like individually hanging out with Rachel, but you still kind of want to have someone's back to a certain extent if that's the case. Even if they seem happy, people can change, right? And you can make mistakes and then you can learn and grow and change. Part of me is like, I would talk to your partner about it first of all and get his take and read on it and see what he feels comfortable with. But part of me is like, is there a way to bring it up to Ross? To be like, do you remember? And like see what the response is and maybe go from there. Because if he's like, what? Or yeah, I remember we were on a break and did I don't know. I kind of want to hear what his vibe is, because maybe they both know. Maybe he also remembers and everyone's
having the same conversation.
And he's told Rachel, and they're kind of awkwardly feeling the same way too, because, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Part of me kind of wants, I'm really stumped on this one. I'm really stumped, but part of me feels like just sweeping it under the rug feels like it'll haunt you. You know what I mean? Like, how can you just kind of exist in that space and be processing what you're processing? Clearly, you're thinking about it. Oh God, this is a really tough
It's really tough. There's no right way to go about it. But one thing I will say, one way to do it is just to never talk about it again. And then if it's brought up, be like, oh my God, I thought that was you, kind of thing.
Just lie?
No, you're right. It is. I did think it was you. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the way.
Theatrics?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, because if you talk to Ross on the side, then it looks like you're being weird. If you talk to her and she goes, what are you talking about? We were together that April. Now the whole relationship could be on the verge. So that's what I'm saying.
If
it's
your
like,
partner knows about this, what if your partner brings it up to Ross?
I think that's the move.
Okay.
Partner brings it up.
What if
husband to husband?
I know that you said you're in couple friends, but often sometimes we can kind of separate for a second, during a dinner or during a hang at the house. Maybe if your partner is comfortable with it, your partner throws it out there and see if Ross is a full shade ball or not.
A couple Coronas by the by the grill, a couple Coronas by the grill. You know what I mean? And you just go, hey, Ross. Weird question, and I'm totally cool, obviously, but like. Did you go out with Kirsten like one time randomly? No. Because that'd be weird if he goes, no, never seen her before. Yeah. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah. I feel like
that's the move.
Well, you got to find it. You got to get in.
Because she thought she went out with you.
What if all of a sudden,
maybe she's wrong.
What if all of a sudden Ross is totally shady? And then you're like, you don't necessarily want to then be in this kind of festering situation either for your own mental health.
It will change the relationship if.
Yeah.
No matter what, but especially if Ross then denies it.
If you decide to not say anything ever, I agree with what Evan said. Just know that it could come out at any moment. And then even though this is obviously not your responsibility, but there might be fingers pointed in your direction and that would be really tough. And also, again, something to consider. If you don't ever bring it up, you'll be thinking about it all the time.
Yeah.
maybe it's just, I don't know. Kirsten, you stumped me. You really stumped me.
Husband to husband. That's, if you're going to do it, husband to husband. That's the way to break
because
the
at least
ice.
that way, then you won't put Rachel in a situation that would make her feel uncomfy.
Agreed.
Because maybe she knows about it.
Yeah.
But then if you're talking, like you said, you were right. If Kirsten were to talk alone with Ross, it has to be
husband to husband. That's the if you're gonna bring it up, that's what you do.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I don't know how much help we were in that, because that was a little bit of a stumper.
Moly.
But this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Okay. Yes. Family, what's something that you'd love to learn as an adult? Do you make time to learn new things as often as you'd like, or was that lost in childhood? I realized recently that I need to learn again. Like, I've been needing to get that spark back and really like dive into learning and growing just once again, please. Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. What's something you'd like to learn? A new language, perhaps dabbling in becoming a cheesemonger. I know we've talked about cheese a lot lately.
Yes.
Well, therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder, because your back to school era can come at any age. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
Yeah, me and Jess have been talking about this, and I talked about it with my therapist recently. I have been feeling stale, kind of uninspired, and I want to cultivate that passion and learn again. My therapist has been helping me discover why I have certain blocks that have stopped me from doing that, my fears and kind of where they started. Therapy has helped me so much. You all know this. BetterHelp is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule.
All you have to do is just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. They really do make it as easy as possible to make taking care of you a priority. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/momdad today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/momdad. BetterHelp.com/momdad. Okay, on to the next one. That was a good one.
What a way to start this out.
Woof.
Hi, Mom and Dad. This is Brooke.
Hi, Brooke.
Longtime listener and fan of Chatty Broads and Chatty Bros. Love you guys so much. I do have a question. This is, I guess, more for Evan. Because I remember a couple months back, Evan had mentioned how great of a wedding speech writer he was.
Yeah, one of the greats.
And
Thank you.
I am a matron of honor in my cousin's wedding coming up, and I've been working on my speech.
Yes.
And I was curious if Evan and Jess have any tips for how to make that speech the best. Obviously, don't want it to sound generic, want it to be fun and short and sweet. So yeah, hope to hear from y'all soon. Love ya.
Love you, Brooke.
Love you. Well, you've come to the right place. So listen, the key here. Don't shake your head. Okay.
You are very good at a wedding speech.
No big deal.
It's literally just after Evan gives the speech, it's, to be honest, at first it's such an honor because I'm your beloved wife, and everyone's coming up to you after, all the random family members and friends. Wow, what an amazing speech.
I call them fans.
Sure. And like, wow, what an amazing speech.
Yeah.
But after a while, it gets really annoying.
Right.
Because I'm like, what am I? Chopped liver?
Right.
I'm like, what if you saw me give a speech?
Yeah,
and then I
right.
get a little competitive and I'm like, let's have a speech off.
Oh, it'd be good. I think it'd be good.
That would be good.
Okay. Here's what you do. Where people make the biggest mistake is, like you said, A, either going too generic.
Yeah.
B, going too roasty.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of like, you're like, it gets kind of like messy and mean.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get mean.
Because if you're not a professional roaster, it can come off rude.
It comes across rude.
Yeah.
So like, for example, what happens a lot of times is like, the famous like, oh, I remember we were at that strip club, and then it's like now everyone's uncomfortable, and the mom-in-law's there, and like then everyone's like, well, shut up, it's like weird. Like people get into that weird world where like they're trying to kind of expose the person almost, and they think it's funny, but it's not. Like, don't go down that road.
No tea spilling.
No tea.
No.
What you want to do is you need sentimental value. You need praise of the person and their relationship. And then you also need, for the comedy element, to be non-offensive, but have a little roast to it. So like, for example, during my speech for my brother's wedding, I roasted him by basically saying that his life was very easy because he was the baby and my parents took it really easy on him. So like that was the concept that I brought to the table, basically saying that his life was easy and my parents didn't care. And like, we took all the hard, whatever. So that was the kind of, I roasted him, but it was like a playful roast. It wasn't something that was like
wasn't
mean.
Involving their relationship either.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, there's kind of a compliment the other person getting married mixed with compliment the person who you're, whose side you're on or whatever, what do you call it? Like basic compliment the,
Brooke is the matron of honor.
So compliment the bride,
her cousin.
Compliment your cousin. And then the roasting, you want to be kind of funny, kind of, you're almost complimenting them in the roast, like he's so good looking, but whatever. It's kind of like there's this. So anyway, the idea is to be, people walk away feeling warm and fun with a little jabbing in there. So that's the thing, is like, don't go too crazy. You don't need to go crazy to get a reaction. It's actually, you can be a little subtle, and that's generally where the sweet spot is.
And not too long, like you said.
Oh my gosh. Long is one of the great atrocities. So what I will say is this.
What's a good time?
Okay. So I would say you want to do like 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like make it snappy, quick, leave them wanting more, as they say. And don't, unless you're really good at jumping up and speaking, don't wing it. Write it down.
Well, clearly,
and practice it.
Brooke was saying she's been preparing this speech.
Write it down, practice it, and practice it kind of like while reading and looking up too, so you get comfortable with it and kind of move in it. Because you kind of have the other side of it too, where people get glued to their phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, and then another thing, and then they're kind of reading it.
If you're able to memorize it, amazing.
Kind of maybe get comfortable like you would, approach it like a speech in school. So, I mean, listen, if you want to send it to me, I can work on it with you. We go back and forth, spend a couple months working on it. But that's kind of the idea, is that people over roast, they go too long, or they do the tea thing, which is like never great. Everyone's always like, ugh. Or like your 3 friends might like it, but the whole room will get cold on you quick.
Oh, can I make a side note?
Yes.
No inside jokes.
Yes.
I know it's so like you want to do inside jokes because you adore this person, but whenever someone starts doing the inside jokes, again, like you said, only the 3 friends are laughing and no one else is in on the joke, so it can get a little tight in the room.
You got to remember, the speech is not for them, it's for the room. Okay?
And honestly, you know what? I love the idea of, I know it's more work, but being, in the wedding and writing almost like a separate letter to, let's just say, the bride in this instance, like a little, like a love letter as her friend, give that to her because that's for her. But then you're doing the speech for the room. Yes. And honestly, the happy couple will be happy with a speech for the room because it makes the whole energy of the wedding pop more,
Yes. So like another good example about how I roasted another friend of mine is that.
Just tell us please give us your accolades.
Well, no. Yeah. So one of the many I've done, but like, again, this is, I think what I do best is the roasting, because it's not bad. It's playful, and it kind of allows, and another thing you want to roast, if you're going to roast the person, you want everyone in the room who knows the person to kind of agree with you.
Yes.
You don't want it to be a roast that no one gets. You kind of want to be like, everyone, oh my gosh, I do know her. And she is like that. That's funny. So like my buddy who got married, he was very, his cuisine taste was not expansive. He was like pizza only guy. So I roasted the fact that like the food was so good at the wedding, and there's no way that like he could have chosen it, because all he knows is pizza. And so it was like, I kind of created this joke around the fact that like he's the most basic guy ever when it comes to food,
Yeah.
and that he's still like a 9-year-old when it comes to food. So it was kind of like, again, it was like everyone knows him as that person.
And what
so
you're choosing to roast as well, like that you're saying that everyone knows about so everyone can laugh, and then is something that that person won't take personally.
it's like we've talked about before. It's funny. We laugh about it.
Yes. Like that person laughs at themselves about it. I also think, if I can just do a little caveat, is I think sometimes what's easy, fun humor to implement is self-deprecating.
Yes.
It doesn't offend the happy couple. It doesn't offend the rest of the room. For instance, when I have done a speech as the maid of honor before, the way that I wrote it was my friend who's unbelievable. I was just talking about how she is like the most organized, neat, tidy together person ever, and I am a tornado, chaotic mess.
Right.
And so I was like complimenting her and all of the amazing things, and then comparing them to myself, who was her roommate for years.
Yes.
And that dynamic, so that even though some people didn't know that about me, they knew how organized and on together she was. So there was a little bit of that. And I brought a prop. I don't know if I recommend that.
Yeah, I will say the prop. I'm going to generally say don't do the prop.
Bring a puppet.
You know what I mean? Not all of us are prop comedians. Okay.
Bring a marionette.
Not all of us have, what do you call them? Where you stick your hand in it and do like,
puppet.
Yeah, but like, hello, like don't have a conversation. You know what I mean? And what are those called though? Obviously they're puppets, but what are they called?
A sock puppet?
No. What are the person that does it is called?
Oh, a puppeteer?
No, the person who does the voice like this, and they go, oh really? Da 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 da.
Ventriloquist.
A ventriloquist. Don't do a ventriloquist. Don't do an act.
Do the act.
Yeah, don't bring a guitar out.
Go full ventriloquist.
That's so funny.
I actually brought out for one of my...
Last time I checked, they were asking me. I don't remember.
I know, but I would like to say for a moment that during one of the wedding speeches that I gave, one of my besties and I had a fish together when we lived together, and she was just obsessed with this fish.
Right.
And unfortunately, eventually the fish passed away after a few years. And so for their wedding, I brought out, and I had gotten the full little aquarium, and I brought out a love fish for them. And I said, this is now your love fish together, instead of a love fern, a little, how to lose a guy in 10 days reference. But it was difficult, everybody. And so I don't recommend, because making sure that I made sure the fish was like safe and all these things, and I had like the full little aquarium, and trying to keep that hidden and then bring it out. It was a bit of an overreach. So I don't know. And it didn't hit the way
I was going to say, that's more the issue, is like, do something that's going to hit. If you know it's going to be a smash,
it didn't hit the way I thought it was going to.
That sounds like something that maybe wouldn't hit as hard as you were hoping.
It didn't, but that's okay.
But you know what? We swing and we miss sometimes.
Anyway.
Next.
Best of luck, Brooke. You're going to be amazing. The fact that you're already thinking about it means that you are just such a good friend and
don't go out of your
cousin.
depth, too. Let's say, I'm not the most humorous person. Then just keep it loving and sentimental. Maybe something kind of funny. Don't try to be something you're not.
I like that.
As you know, humor is a defense mechanism of mine. That will always be a part of my speeches.
Humor is trauma,
So, but if you're like, hey, generally I'm not the kind of person that kind of cracks the joke.
Yeah.
Don't go there, because then it gets awkward too if you're like swinging with these jokes and you're just not that person. So
very true, very true.
All right.
Best of luck, Brooke.
Hey, Mom and Dad.
Hello.
This is my first time doing this. I'm currently doing some dishes and listened to your episode, and you said any and all questions. So here we go. I'm going to be having my third child in like 5 days, and I've been begging my life partner, begging the father of my kids, my fiance, to pick up a bit of the slack with the two older kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I've been asking that every night he does their bedtime routine, turns off all devices if they're on, gets them in their PJs, picks up the room a little, the room that they share, and brushes their teeth, sings a lullaby, a story, I don't know. But just establishes a bedtime routine with them, holds to it, commits to it, does it every night. And he still hasn't done that. And I had to do it again last night because he had a headache and he was too tired. So I just want to know how I can how I can help this situation. I just want this to happen. I want him to take control. And I'm kind of scared of having a baby that I'll have to take care of and also have to do the bedtime routines. And I also would like him to, maybe do the dishes at night and clean up the kitchen a little and just not leave it for me to do the next day all the time, or leave it for me to do it that night before. I need some more help. And I've been asking, and he says things to me like, you act like I don't do anything. And it's not, I know he does so much. He works. I stay at home with the kids. He fixes everything in the house. He does all the projects and makes all the money. And I feel like I can't ask for much, but the commitment to the older kids' bedtime routine was one of the things I really stressed about, and it still hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Then I'm a little long-winded right now, but I just want to know how I can ask for this without nagging, and if I'm in the wrong, or because I can't realistically think about taking care of a brand new baby who needs me 24/7 and then also have to worry about singing the lullabies and reading the stories. And even if he does put them down, even if he does do the whole thing, he's not intentional enough with it that they're settled enough for bedtime. If you know what I mean. It's just,
The old box
they end
checker.
up still needing me to comfort them after.
Yeah.
So if you could help me, I guess I'm just asking how I can go about this, because I don't want to come off like a nagging wife, but I don't want to come off like a nagging, I don't know what. Okay, well, yeah, sorry, but you could edit this down, I'm sure. Thank you for listening.
Okay, first of all, I just would like to say that you said you were 5 days away from giving birth.
That's crazy.
To your third, when you're talking about feeling like a nagging wife, and I hear you when you say that your husband is, he works and he fixes things and you're a stay-at-home mom. Listen, okay? I have only had one child, and for the first few years, I was a stay-at-home mom, and it blew my mind how hard of a job that was. It blew my mind, and I remember even at the top of COVID, when you were home for the first time, for an extended period of time, you're like, this is so hard.
It's a different type of pressure.
And it's 24/7.
Times
and again,
2 while pregnant.
We had one.
Yeah. And
so at any moment when you're going, oh, I just, he does this. And I think it's amazing that, that he is taking care of that. And I'm not trying to negate that. But please don't look at what you're doing and go, okay, well, he does this and I do this, so maybe I shouldn't nag. No. This is a team. You all are a team. Okay. So I just want to say that off the top. I have a lot of things I want to say, and I want to hear your thoughts as well.
Yes.
But we do have to take a quick pause. So one more quick pause, and then we're going to dive back into your question here. Family. God, speaking about bedtime.
Yes.
Talking about bedtime.
Perfect timing.
I am here to be your bedtime fairy, because I'm sure we all at some point have tried different sleep hacks, like a sound machine, no snacking at bedtime, movement before bed. But I got something for you to try immediately. Transform your sleep with Boll & Branch. Boll & Branch makes the softest bedding you'll ever feel with the finest 100% organic cotton. Start with Boll & Branch's best-selling signature sheets. They feel buttery, breathable, and get softer with every wash. These sheets are the perfect foundation for better sleep, and you can easily add Boll & Branch's bed blankets, duvets, and quilts without making your bed feel heavy or hot, which I love.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I am a sheet snob. I can really struggle with sleep when my bedding is getting me too hot or isn't super comfortable. And I'm telling you, our Boll & Branch sheets have been my favorite ever, and I'm sleeping like a baby.
Yeah,
they are so soft and cozy. Yeah, I've just been They are so soft and cozy, but simultaneously breathable, so I'm not overheated. And when they say they get softer with every wash, it's true. In the past, sheets don't feel great after a few washes, but Boll and Branch keeps getting softer and softer.
It really is incredible how much quality sheets like Boll and Branch improve your sleep. It like has wowed me. And on top of it all, they are so chic looking. We have their signature sheets in sage, and we just ordered a duvet from them because the sheets are too good. Our bed is going to look like something out of some like gorgeous hotel in a movie here soon. I'm very excited. Boll and Branch sheets are loved by millions of sleepers, and they offer free design consultations so you can build your dreamiest bed with a dedicated stylist. Best of all, Boll and Branch gives you a 30-night worry-free guarantee with free shipping and returns on all U.S. orders of $100 or more. Start getting your best sleep this fall with Boll and Branch. Enjoy 15% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/momdad. That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/momdad for 15% off and free shipping. Exclusions apply. See site for details. Okay, back to the question at hand. I just wanted to say if I was 5 days away from giving birth, I would be laying in bed saying, figure it out. So first of all, shout out to you.
Get your shit together.
I feel like figure it out.
Yeah.
I have numerous thoughts, but one thing that right away kind of popped into my head that I do want to say off the top is I feel like maybe a interesting way, or I know that you've said that you have mentioned to your partner many times, like, hey, can you please do the nighttime routine? Like, this would be extremely helpful. And again, I want to touch on that more, but maybe the approach as well about like really pushing the idea that this is really quality special time for your kids.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to mean a lot for your children. And this goes beyond even helping you out, but of course you need this help. But to say like, hey, one day when your kids are older and this time goes by like that, I'll tell you what, Ember's going to be 9 soon, and not to be stereotypical, but it flies by. I was looking at that, like an Instagram post about how many summers you have before your kids are graduated from high school, and I wanted to start like dry heave crying. But the idea of being like, you remember those times with your parent.
Yeah.
And so obviously if, he is working and he's gone throughout the day, this is that like really sacred time that your children are going to remember their dad. And if I'm assuming he wants to have that deep, close relationship with them, that they remember one day that you had that special time where dad put you to bed and did your fun reading and bedtime routine and talked with the stuffed animals and gave you kisses and relaxed you into sleep every night.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a way to start that conversation as well. That it's not like, this isn't just like a task for you to check off. This isn't an errand. These are your children who are deeply remembering these things.
Agreed.
That's kind of what came to mind right away for me.
Yeah. I mean, what I think what can happen in life when there is a stay-at-home parent and a working parent is that, and anyone can get, doesn't matter what you feel, you can get really into this quickly because you kind of get in survival mode.
Yeah.
And so you can look at mothering as a job and going to work as the other job.
Yeah.
And you guys both have your jobs.
Yeah.
And so you can get kind of locked into like the kids are her job.
Yeah.
My job is to fix things, make money. I'm doing my job. Now you're asking me to almost do your job. And so on paper, you can kind of get in that zone where you're like, wait, you know what I mean? Like you're not remembering that like these are actually your children.
These are your children.
You're kind of looking at them as little jobs.
Yeah.
Because it can feel like that.
Yeah.
Because when you're tired
yes.
and you feel like you're selfless all the time and you're working and you just want to sit down and watch a movie or watch a show and then your kids are climbing all over you, blah, blah. But like at the end of the day, you did this, right? You had kids.
Yeah.
And however you feel about that or not at the moment, certain days, whatever, you're going to have days. But just because there's certain days you don't want to go into work.
Yeah.
Guess what? Your boss is going to call you and fire you if you don't go into work. Your kids need you.
Yeah.
And
these
so
are human beings.
And so there's this level of like, it sounds a little bit to me, and also there's another thing in my opinion, which is, let's say we do kind of boil it down to 2 jobs.
Sure.
You're doing your job. While he's at work, you're working with the kids. So you guys are both fulfilling your jobs.
Sure.
So when you come home,
Then
kind of
it's
jobs are
unified.
over.
Right.
We're now working together on this thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So sometimes
you're off the clock and now we're both doing this
exactly.
together.
We have a
It's
third. We have a
unified
third
thing.
job, which is we do this thing together.
Yeah.
So, and then that's where you collaborate. Oh, you cook, I'll watch the kids and get them ready. Oh, you watch the kids, I'll cook. You collaborate at that point. I think what could happen is there can be a little bit of like, the home is your job. I go to work. Right? So now kind of what you're asking, and I'm speaking from like your husband's point of view. If I was talking to him, it's kind of like, now you're asking her to work 24/7 and you have a 9 to 5.
Yes.
Which is unfair.
Correct.
So kind of, that might be a part of a conversation. You're afraid to nag him, which I think is really sweet. And maybe that's kind of been something you guys have talked about. So then
or maybe he's made her feel that way.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe this is something, maybe you don't, maybe this is from your own childhood, watching your parents, who knows what it is.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is nagging to me has a connotation of like whiny woman. Right?
It's a very kind of like misogynistic like energy.
Right. Because if you're at work
Yeah.
and someone asks you to do something, that's not nagging.
No.
That's called like collaborating.
Yeah.
So nagging, you're kind of putting on your brain this kind of like, I don't want to be the whiny wife that makes her husband hate her because she's always busting my balls energy, which is sweet of you, but I think you need to reframe it into nagging and more like, we agreed to this thing, step up.
Yeah.
And then to go into what you're saying is it's like, these are not little works. These are our kids. And so I asked you to do this not only to help me, but also so that they get closer to their dad. And I think we need to talk about that. So you have a lot going on in your brain right now. You have a lot of stress. You're fearful of him being distant when you need him the most, all that stuff. So if
You're
you,
exhausted.
and there's also a level of survival here for you. So you need to do your best to get away from your emotion and taking this personal, even though you have every right to, because at the end of the day, you're trying to get him to do something and help you with something. So do your best to kind of get away from like the philosophical idea of like, why wouldn't you want to do this? And all, like, do your best to kind of remove that, be straight up with him. Be like, hey, we talked about this. I know you have a headache. I have a fucking headache too. I'm pregnant. I have 47 headaches and I'm vomiting and I feel like shit and I have a human being inside of me. You know what I mean? Like for sure.
And I'm 2 centimeters dilated.
Yeah, but just because when you get home, like we
Yeah.
have these kids together.
Yeah.
So unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to feel right now, this is the reality. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of like, it's time to grow up. It's time to kind of push. Maybe he's dealing with some depression. I don't know. There's obviously a lot of variables here, but there is a level of like, I'm pushing through the shitty headache. I'm pushing through the symptoms. Sometimes you have to too. So sounds a little bit like he needs a little kick in the butt a little bit.
Yeah.
Just find a way though to where it's effective, because you don't want to just let your feelings all out and then put yourself back more.
Yeah.
So just be a little more strategic about how you do it, because at the end of the day, you need help.
Yeah.
And that's kind of priority number one. And we can get to like why and all that stuff later. But right now you're days away. We got to get through this.
Completely agree with everything you're saying. And the one other thing I want to hit is, so let's just say you tell him, please do the nighttime routine. And like you said, all of a sudden he's not like doing it to completion essentially. And now your sweet kiddos aren't
basically have to
settled.
do 2 jobs now, yeah.
They're not settled and they're coming out and they're like, we can't fall asleep and whatever. As hard as it's going to be for you to not be super mom and step in and handle it.
Oh yeah.
Be like, look at him and be like,
Yeah. Talk to your dad about it.
talk to your dad about it. And even if it's like they have their specific way of their bedtime routine that helps them settle, and you know that because you're super mom and you've been taking care of it, put it on him. You know what I mean?
Let him
Like
step into it.
as tempting as it is, because you like I said, it's full super mom and you know how to do the full thing and do it to perfection. When it's not done to perfection, as tempting as it is, don't step in. Let him keep handling it.
Yeah.
Because what you'll do is you'll set a precedent. If he does put them down to bed, they get up, and then you're the one to like handle it and put them down, then that'll become the habit. And then eventually he'll just stop putting them down altogether because he's like, well, you do it better anyway. And they're going to get up anyway. It's like, nope, you can figure out how to do it the right way that they'll go to bed.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my only
Yeah.
other like main thought.
I think for me, though, it just really has to do with the whole fact of like when you get home, it doesn't mean that you just get to do whatever you want now just because you worked a full day.
No. Like
she
Evan
did
said,
too.
your job is 24/7.
Right.
And so when his job, let's just say, ends
It just shouldn't be. So it's more like it is currently, but it shouldn't be. It should be you work a 9 to 5 too.
Yep.
And then the second you come home, you guys
So
collaborate.
when he comes home at 6 p.m., it's a collaboration.
Yeah.
It's not just your continued
Yes.
job and he gets time off. And
Yes.
of course, then we get to a point where, there's balance in
Right.
people being like, I need a little break.
You're
You
like,
need
"I
a
got
little
you."
break. I need a little break. But you're about to step into having now your third baby where you're not going to be having breaks and there's going to be a lot. So he then needs to
Step
be
up.
like full. Yeah.
Yep. That's tough.
Sending you so much love and also
First of all, I also loved your like laugh. It was like laughing through it. It was like, he's not doing it.
Bless
We agreed.
you.
It's like,
Bless you.
I appreciate you trying to laugh through the pain.
You sound
there.
like you have the biggest heart, and congratulations, first
Yes.
of all, with your next little one on the way. You sound like an amazing mom, and hope that everything goes peacefully and calmly and well.
Yeah, good
Sending
luck.
you so much love. So much love.
Love you.
All right, next.
Next.
Hey guys, so we were listening to the podcast and we were listening to the episode where Jess was talking about how she likes Evan's balls on her eyes. So me and my roommates were trying to figure out what position you guys
Oh
are
my
in
God.
when you're talking about this.
Like, we're trying to figure out, are you 69ing?
I like how
Or
she,
is it
you
like
can hear she gets
he's
out.
hovering over your face and bending his dick down?
We can't see you.
We can't
I
figure it
know.
out, so we need some clarification.
We tried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
You can hear them literally
I love
getting up
like,
and
gets
doing
up,
the positioning.
and they're like,
You know what's one
That's
of
really
one of my
funny.
more proud things in life is I think that when I die, that's gonna be the one thing that I have remembered about me.
Yeah.
Like with the years of the Chatty Bros,
Sure.
and then this, I feel like the one thing that really holds on is that Jess
if
like
there's ever a
balls
piece of
on her
merch
eyes.
that needed to be made, it's some sort of representative
I
of
just
that.
have to figure out the right way to do
Yeah,
it.
without it being the most explicit piece of merch of all time.
Okay. The balls on the eyes.
I mean,
Okay.
I think the answer is yes.
What do you mean?
Every in which way?
I know, but they're asking specifically like what is the way that I prefer and enjoy the balls on the eyes. Okay, well, first and foremost, if you haven't, just not safe for work content, I suppose, if
Yeah.
you haven't figured that out already. All right, so this is what
I'm gonna let you take this
this
one.
is what I prefer. When I'm referring to balls on the eyes, I am laying down face up, and I like when Evan, my partner here, is it just felt so different when it wasn't you. And it's like when Becca's sitting across and I'm
Yeah,
explaining
sure.
I'm not like looking in your eyes
Yeah,
being like,
yeah.
I like when your
Yeah, right,
balls.
right.
But then Evan is, on his knees above my face.
Yes.
And it's almost what you would refer to as a teabagging situation. But I think typically teabagging refers to in the mouth. And I then like it like 2 cucumber slices on the eyes, like a spa situation.
Yeah.
And that is what I like.
Yes.
And what that also entails though too is more things going on.
Yeah.
So it's, a full situation, but I enjoy that specifically. And it can be more than just the eyes, just in that full region.
Yeah.
And I appreciate our beautiful listeners attempting to do the acrobatics to figure out. I'm not a huge 69 person. I'll be
Right,
honest with you.
right.
I feel like it's kind of like a party trick.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel
Sure.
like when I do it, it'll be like, well, that was cool for a second, but I feel like I'm not able to get full, like the
Leverage.
satisfaction isn't peak for me
Sure.
or peak for my partner.
Right.
Because both leverage can be a little tough.
Got it.
Maybe if you're the exact same height, it
Right.
works out really
That's
well.
true.
So maybe 69.
Someone's neck is hurting.
Yeah, maybe 69 slaps if you're closer in height. But with our height difference, Evan, you were like, what, 6'2"? I'm 5'5". It's a little bit of a... It doesn't work
My
out
neck
so well.
hurts. Or your neck hurts.
Depending on
It depends on whoever's the foot away. You know what I mean?
But just FYI, everyone, and I know I've said it before, but I will say it again. On a regular basis, over the years, I'll say once a month, to this day, and we haven't even talked about the balls on the eyes recently, to this day, I get a DM from someone or an email from someone that says, hey, Jess, just want to let you
Just want to
know,
let you know.
my partner and I tried it, or I tried it with somebody, and I loved it. So if it sounds appealing to you, I say go for it.
If you like lovemaking and you like spas and you like cucumbers treatments, maybe this is for you.
I'm just saying that, it's something that you could try. And also, if you don't quite know how to broach the subject with your partner and you're feeling a little bit shy, you can start in a fellatio situation when your partner's on their knees and slip your way underneath.
Where are you going?
In between, like a fish is just underneath, slip and slide.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're under them.
You're
and
in the
then
territory.
There you go.
There you go.
So anywho, thanks for the question.
That was really funny hearing them move away from the
The
mic.
acrobatics.
And they're like, what? So what is it exactly? That is hilarious.
All right.
All right, next.
Next.
All right.
Hi, Mom and Dad. This is Andy.
Hi, Andy.
First off, I just want to say I'm a huge fan. I have been a chatty broad. I've been a chatty bro. And now I guess I'm a child. But love you guys. Really appreciate everything you do and everything you put out. And Uncle Lee, miss you. Hope you come home soon.
Miss you, Lee. He's been traveling.
I just had a question. I have my little sister, who I'm really close with, has recently been going through a divorce, and been there to support her and help her as much as I possibly can. We are actually in different states. I was able to go back home and visit. My little brother was getting married, actually. So I was able to spend some really quality time with her then, which was amazing. But other than that, just been phone calls and voice memos and FaceTimes and texts, everything I can do to kind of feel like I'm there to support her. But my question is, her and her husband had been married for 11 years. And now that they're going their separate ways, I guess I'm like, what is the, not protocol, not to put it in like a box, but should I reach out and, text him? He also recently graduated college. Would it be appropriate to text him and be like, hey, congratulations. Really sorry, things have been rough. Best of luck. Send him on his way. I've just been really struggling with like, what is appropriate? And, I care about my sister. Obviously, we're super close. And I have talked to her about this and asked, if that was something she would be okay with, if I reached out. And I don't believe anyone on his side of the family has reached out or texted her or said anything, which I just feel so odd after 11 years.
Mm.
Why can't we just be adults about it and be, human and just be like, hey, you know what? Sorry. But best of luck. And, they're both, this separation is amicable, and they're both,
Right.
just decided it's time to move on. They're just not right for each other anymore. And so as hard as that is, I think they're both under that understanding and that it's for the best of both of them. So anyway, just thought I could get maybe your thoughts on that. If either one of you have been through anything similar. Just trying to feel out, what feels right. And it feels right to say something rather than just letting it 11 years kind of get swept under a rug. But just to reach out and say best of luck. Anyway, would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for everything. Love you guys. Chat soon.
Okay. Well, Andy, number one, when you were saying all this, my first initial thought was, okay, well, you've got to talk to your sister about this.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's the priority, obviously, is making sure that she's comfortable with it. And then you mentioned, you didn't give details, but from what you were saying, I'm assuming she doesn't have a problem with you reaching out. And then you also mentioned that it was an amicable split.
Right.
It just, didn't work out. In 11 years, that's a long
Right.
time
No, that's a
to
long
be together.
time.
And that's
big. You're all part of the family.
Your family. Your family, My feeling is if I'd really love to know Sis's full energy.
Yeah.
If you talk to your sister and sister was like, sure, if you must, type energy, then I wouldn't risk that because it's your sister. And maybe there's someone else in the family or friend group that you could encourage to reach out to him that's not quite as close as you and your sister. Maybe there's like a cousin who was part of it could check in on him and be like, hey, sending our best and hope you're doing okay. If Sis is like, sure, fine, and not stoked about it. But if your sister was like, oh, 100%, like, of course, then I don't feel like, like you said, if it's amicable and it was like you are family, I think sending a message his way is a kind gesture.
Yeah.
And not opening up communication where you're like this person's buddy, like you're not his like bestie now, but just to send kind of like a, hey, hope you're doing well. You were part of the fam and just want to let you know that we all want the best for you and hope that you're doing well.
Yeah.
Just to give him like a little flag. I think that that's totally fine. A couple years ago, I'll use our life as an example. This isn't exactly the same because it's not like a brother-sister relationship, but a few years ago, we had some very close friends of ours who they were both very close friends of ours split. They got divorced. And I had a conversation because I was closer to one of the partners in the situation. I asked her, I was like, obviously checking in on her, being there for her as much as I possibly could. But then I brought up the conversation of like, what are your thoughts on reaching out to him and Evan's relationship with him and how do you feel and all of these things. And, her take was, oh my gosh, I'm hoping someone is checking in on him because I do so deeply care about him. And though our marriage didn't work out, I want him to be okay too. So there's often so many situations with divorce, like, of course, sometimes divorce looks not amicable and you have a partner who does something terrible and it ends in a really nasty way. But when there are situations like what yours seems like where it's 11 years, it's amicable, I think if the person who you're closest to is like, oh my gosh, go for it, it's okay to reach out to the other person. That's my thought. I
agree. I'm not trying to start drama, but I'm a little bit like, kind of feels like it should be on him since he's leaving the family. As in your sister too, like reaching out to his family. If everyone's cool. I'm saying.
But don't you feel like that's a little bit.
No, I'm not saying they need to. I'm more saying
it's a little bit like, oh, I don't want to cross a line and reach out myself because that feels like it might be disrespectful to her.
No, what I'm saying is like
his ex-wife.
No, totally. More what I'm saying is like, if I was him, I would talk to his now ex and be like, hey, is it cool if I reach out to your family? Just thank them for the memories. And then be like, hey, sis, just want to say thank you for an amazing 12 years. Your sister's amazing. You're amazing. I appreciate you guys. Just want to say that, it's not lost on me how great being a part of your family was. Like, that's very sweet. I don't feel like it's on you to reach out to him So if you feel like you need to kind of maybe then talk to her about it, and if she's cool with it, like Jess said, if it's actually cool, then I would say sure. If you want, if it's almost like a conscious thing.
Yeah, because that's what I'm getting.
It's almost like you're kind of nostalgic
from
and
Andy
you're kind of
right
feeling
now. No, I'm
like,
getting from Andy like a conscience, like he was part of the family.
I don't want him to feel like we hate him.
Is
kind of
he
thing.
alone?
Right.
Yeah.
So do that if you feel like you need to. Yeah, it kind of feels like a nothing thing if she's totally cool with it. Like just sending him like, hey, I wish you the best. It's been a great 11 years. I know you guys have drifted apart, but we love you though. And we wish nothing, that seems just like a sweet, kind thing that you won't regret.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I say go for it. If like Jess said, with the big if your sister is like, absolutely, we love Jeff or whatever his name is. You know what I mean? It's like, but if it's like that's fine, don't do it. You know what I mean? Only do it if it's like absolutely,
Yeah. It has to be like for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's not from your sister, like absolutely, like I said, I use my friend as an example, and she was like, oh my God, please, I hope someone is checking in on him, and it made her feel good to know that. Then for sure. But if it's not like a yes, I wouldn't go there. And if again your conscience is like really bothering you, maybe ask someone else who's not as close to your sister as you are to reach out to him if you feel like that's something you feel passionately about.
Agreed.
But sending you so much love and your sister as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, last one. By the way, if anyone hears anything in the background, so sorry.
Neighbors are doing something.
Our neighbors are working on something, I think, and we're in close space. So if you hear anything, our apologies.
We unfortunately are not on a palatial compound. And our neighbors are 5 feet away from us. So
I think closer than 5 feet. More like 2.
That is not someone working on our fourth back house. That is someone working 5 feet from our wall, which is our neighbors.
More like 2.5. And if you hear hammering, we apologize.
Yes, apologies in advance.
All right, last one.
Here we go.
Hi, Mom and Dad. How's it going? My name's Kat. I wanted to call because I figured you could help me with this issue I'm dealing with. I come from a very conservative religious home, as I know you guys do as well. I'm not religious anymore, which my family knows about. It's been a journey over the last 7 years or so. But usually when I go home to visit my family, I try to play by their rules and respect what they want. Just to make things as easy as possible, which means that when my boyfriend comes to visit, we sleep in separate bedrooms, despite the fact that we have been living together for 4 years. He's actually only come to visit my parents once, so we've only had to do this once, but it did feel kind of odd considering we live together. But now we are planning on going home for my brother's wedding, and my parents are under the expectation that we'll stay with them and sleep in separate bedrooms. And I kind of just don't want to do it anymore. I'm 29, my boyfriend's 31, and it just feels very odd to have to go home and sleep in childhood beds in separate bedrooms. So I really want to get a hotel room for us instead, but I already know this is going to cause major issues with my mom, and that they're going to be really offended and upset about this. So I was just wondering if you have any advice for approaching this topic with my parents, how to go about it in a way that might cause the least trouble possible, or if we should just bite the bullet, and if you think we should just sleep in separate bedrooms. Let me know. I hope to hear from you. Love you guys both. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
Listen, I completely understand.
Have sex in the front room in front of them.
Gosh,
and then just
fornicate all over the house.
Everywhere, so that there's just like you kind of burn off the initial shocks, and then sleeping together in the same bedroom is not a big deal. Have them catch you putting the balls on the eyes in the backyard,
not that unholy
so that they're so shocked by it that then sleeping in the same bedroom is like whatever, it's not a big deal. So that's what I recommend. Anything for you, babe?
I was just saying we completely get this, completely understand, and also completely resonate with what you're saying about when you're in their house, you kind of abide by their rules just to make it easier. I think obviously it's different strokes for different folks' energy. Like, some people are in the feeling where, I am not comfortable abiding by the rules. So then I'm like, oh, hell yeah, then don't do that. But if like, I resonate with with how you feel, where sometimes it can feel just easier to be like, all right, well, you know what? I love my families. I love my families. And while I'm here, I'm just gonna try to abide by their rules so that it doesn't cause a huge drama. So completely hear you in that way. But with that being said, I would get the damn hotel room. If I were you, at this point, like you said, it's been a while that you've been doing this and doing the separate bedrooms. And from what I'm hearing you say, the issue is that your parents are going to have their feelings hurt and be upset that you're not staying with them. To me, the conversation's a little bit like, listen, mom and dad, love you so much. And I've always wanted to, even though I believe something different than you, I always have wanted to respect your rules when I am in your house. And I have respected those. And I will continue to respect those by the fact that I am 29 years old. I'm an adult and I have my partner and we would like to sleep together. And I'm respecting you by getting a hotel room and not putting you, mother, in a situation where I'm saying we're only staying at your house if we can sleep in the same room. I'm not even asking you that. I'm going to use my own money to go somewhere else because I do not want to make you feel uncomfortable by even asking you if at this point we can sleep in the same room. We lived together, for God's sakes, for 4 years, and I'm not even asking you that. And it's because I love you that I'm willing to spend my own money and sleep in a hotel. But at this point, we live together. We will be sleeping together. And I'm so sorry if that hurts your feelings, but no, I'm doing this out of love for you and not putting you in an uncomfortable situation where I'm asking you to compromise, whatever. That's my thought.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean,
because if your parents at this point are going to be like, damned if you do, damned if you don't, that's where, to me, it's a little bit like, no.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to keep the peace by abiding by your rules for however long, and then I'm going to continue to keep the peace by abiding by your rules by getting a hotel room so it's not in your own home. Because at this point, for your parents, then it's just a mind game. We live together. We're sleeping in a bed. It's a mind game for you.
Well, that's also...
So now, I know, it's
That's also most of the,
the
thing
hyper-conservative. Yeah.
Is like, don't think about it.
Right.
So if it's not in front of my face, I can kind of forget.
So that's the thing. It's like, so I've been abiding by your rules and then I'm going to get busted because your feelings are hurt if I'm not in your house.
Yeah.
That's then where it's like, nah.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I always look at it like, what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
Why are you going there?
Right.
If you love your parents dearly and they're just super conservative about sex, and so this is a thing, and they're unwilling to relent to meet you, and you have to relent to meet them, but you still really want to be close to your parents, what that forces people to do, extremely religious people force everyone to kind of live their lifestyle around them or they're out.
Yep.
So you either make a choice. In my opinion, do you rise above them or do you teach them lessons? So you kind of have to make a choice here. It's kind of like, am I trying to teach them a lesson by doing my own thing and they need to learn the lesson? Mm-hmm. Or are you like, that's a lost cause. I'm only there for 2 days. Bite the bullet. Everyone's happy. It's not a huge deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's a really like, I don't know where you're at with your parents. Do your parents need to learn a hard lesson? Do they, need to stop being so arrogant to tell you how to live? Or is it simply they're fearful people that kind of have these rules that they're afraid that if they get too close to, they're going to be condemned to hell? It's just a little bit like, it's like my mom. I love my mom dearly, and she has her beliefs and I have my beliefs. Now, every time I hang out with my mom, I could find ways of dissecting her faith and like seeing if I could pick it apart and logically beat her in an argument. Mm-hmm. It's like, for what end?
Yeah.
For her peace, my peace, I don't know. I just always think of terms of like, what am I trying to accomplish here? If I try to accomplish a quick in out, everyone's happy thing, and I got to bite this bullet and I'm going to accomplish the thing, which is like, I'm still semi-close to my family. Everyone had a good time. I didn't get into an argument, but like, you always have to know that like, even if you go to that hotel and you feel like you're going to have a whole thing with your mom, do you even want to emotionally put up with that? So like, what's more emotionally traumatizing? Going to the house and chilling for a couple days and not sleeping in the same bed, so just sleep is impaired? Or is it more emotionally traumatizing? So now you have to have this full blowout with your mom and a whole conversation and you're getting into it. Now it's 3 days of arguing. I'm always looking at it like, it's not about right or wrong here sometimes. Sometimes it is about like, what do you want to put up with and go through? Is putting up with not sleeping in the same bed worse or less worse than you sleeping in the same bed in a hotel and then dealing with your mom being tweaked and then having a fight about it? Like,
I guess that's
choose the evil there.
That's your personal
That's the
opinion.
thing.
Then
You gotta choose.
I guess I get a little like on edge because the way that my brain thinks from past circumstances is I'm like with some of our, hyper religious, hyper conservative parents.
Sure.
When you give an inch, they take a mile type energy. So it's like
set boundaries. Obviously, don't let them take a mile.
I'm saying sometimes my brain goes, well, I've got to have those moments of like, I'm putting my foot down,
right? Because
when it's always a little bit like, okay, I'm just gonna, whatever I can do to avoid conflict in this situation, I found, again, and this is so, by the way, this whole topic is so personal to each individual, because for some individuals, the right thing to do for them is to fully cut off their parents and be like, we're done, because it's constant. And for some people, it's like, whatever I can do to keep the peace, because that's the best for me. Right. So I just want to say that it's so individual. I guess for me, I found like over the years, if I lay back, like I want to always keep the peace to a certain extent for my own emotions, because it can be too traumatizing to sit there and hash out everything. But at the same time, if I fully lie back with everything, then a mile gets taken.
Of course.
Then it's like, well, now we're implementing this other rule on you. Right. And if you're going to be here, then
when we visit your house, you have to sleep in separate beds.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
And you know that's what goes down
that
sometimes.
Kind of
it's just like all of a sudden when you go like, oh yeah, I'm not going to say anything. All of a sudden it's like, oh, well now we're going to kind of do this. So, I guess whatever you
don't look
feel
at it like protecting them. Look at it like protecting you.
Yes.
So like protect your emotional space too. Where you're like, I can sacrifice not sleeping with my boyfriend for 2 nights.
Because I don't want to get in a fight.
Or do I want to sacrifice my emotional mindset, my brain for the next 8 hours because we're going to be getting into it in the kitchen? You know what I mean?
Or is it like when I'm with my family, it's so emotionally overwhelming that like I need the night to be with my boyfriend alone and like have that intimacy, because that's what's going to save me handling this. Right. So it's just kind of like, I agree. Whatever is going to keep you, protect you the most emotionally.
They've picked theirs.
Yeah.
They're willing to sacrifice your happiness for theirs.
The tea.
So.
The tea. Yeah.
You've already sacrificed your happiness for theirs by even having to deal with all this compromising.
The tea.
So now protect your own, at least you protect your emotions.
Yeah.
Don't let them pick your lifestyle and then how you feel.
Yeah.
So at least just, protect how you feel. So,
I agree. Well.
Anyway. It's always nice checking in with the fam.
I know. I love it so much. I could do it every episode, honestly.
It's super fun. I know it's not, it wouldn't be good every episode, but it's tempting because it's fun.
It wouldn't be good every episode for, our reality TV lovers, but I would love checking with the fam every episode.
I love it. It's the funnest.
It makes me so happy to hear from everybody.
Yeah.
But per usual, sending all of you love.
Yes.
And
we love you.
We adore all of you.
Have an amazing weekend.
Yes. Have a great weekend. And check back in a week from today, next Friday, for our cast bio breakdown part 1 of Joan's season. And a little birdie told me that I think Instagram free Aunt Katie is going to be joining us for cast bio breakdown.
A bird? What kind of crow?
part 1, which will be absolutely unhinged and wild. Because Aunt Katie, when she's discussing men, it's unhinged, okay?
A glass of wine and discussing men.
A glass of wine and talking about men, we're going to get some real pops, some real unhinged takes.
It'll basically be when we have family dinners. That's what you're going to be experiencing.
Yes. So tune in a week from today and have a beautiful weekend. And we love all of you.
Love you. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.